What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Top of the List. Kind of a new segment we're going to be doing here on Top of the List for this episode. A little bit of a news alert. We got some great news in the movie industry. Some bad news, some good news. Um, Mostly bad, but I think that I want to kind of spin this in a good way too, in like more of a positive way, because I think some people can look at this and think, oh man, we have to wait for all these movies a long time. But then I also have like another point of view I want to share. But anyways, I'm getting way ahead of myself. I'm Dom Gonzalez. This is my co-host, RB. Tell him what's up, RB.
With COVID-19 and the pandemic, I mean, we've seen it happen time in, time out. Movies are being pushed back, shifted around in release dates. A lot of things still up in the air with theaters being open, certain theaters not being open, depending on where you are in the country. So the latest news, Warner Brothers, correct, released a
Yes.
slew of films that will be pushed back, namely the Batman.
Yeah,
Amongst others, quite a few in the DC extended universe.
that's kind of
So
the focus of this delay, right?
yeah, and it's sort of pushing everything back. There are certain movies that haven't been touched yet. I think Wonder Woman 1984 is still gunning for a release this year,
I
but
think it's
pretty
gonna
much
be a
everything
digital
else.
release in that as well, as from what I've
Is it?
read.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay, I
that
was
could be
not aware
interesting.
of that. Yeah,
Um,
definitely something that's worth the release date. I know we both were huge fans of the first Gal Gadot Wonder Woman
yeah,
film.
yeah. If we don't ever put out a review of Wonder Woman, maybe we will before Wonder Woman
Yeah,
comes out. That would be great. But I think we could both say that was a pretty great movie from what we saw, a very enjoyable film. Um,
absolutely. I think we can say about the DC extended universe, it hasn't quite reached the level of
yeah,
Marvel Cinematic Universe yet, but there have
uh,
been films that have been at that level. I think Wonder Woman may have been the first of those films that I felt was at
absolutely.
the level of MCU. I think Aquaman was up there as well, Shazam, which of course, these films are going to have sequels that are looking like they will be affected as well. At least Shazam, we know directly Shazam 2's release date has been pushed.
Yeah, so before we get into all that, I think kind of the reason we wanted to number one make this episode is because we've been looking for an excuse to talk about the Batman, right? I
Yes, yeah.
mean, that is I can't speak for you, Ryan. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but honestly, the Batman directed by Matt Reeves is my most anticipated film since Star Wars The Force Awakens came out. I mean, it's on that level for me. I remember when The Force Awakens came out, there hadn't been a Star Wars film in so long. I was unfathomably hyped up to see that movie, and that's the way I feel right now for the Batman. So, we can talk about the big picture of the DCEU later. But I think let's start with just that main blowback. The Batman has been pushed. Let me pull up the date here on my phone.
March 4th, 2022.
Yeah, it was originally scheduled for October 1st, 2021, which I thought was a
Mm-hmm.
fair amount of time away from the present. 1 year I thought would be plenty of time to make this movie. But if they decide maybe they want it to be a summer blockbuster, they see more potential for it from the overwhelmingly positive reactions from the trailer. A lot of people enjoyed that trailer, Ryan. I know I
Yeah,
did. I think you did
absolutely.
as well. But yeah, so you know what? Before I tell my take on why I think this is great for the movie, whereas some people might be disappointed to wait longer, I think this is great for the movie. Um, Before I just go into depth on that, Ryan, what was your feelings, number one, on the trailer, and then number two on this delay?
So or at least I've referenced this in some of our earlier videos from this month and this past month. I love the trailer, absolutely. It seems like, it's for those of you who haven't seen the trailer yet, spoiler, but the villain is going to be the Riddler. And
Yeah.
it's going to be a much darker take on the Riddler than we've ever seen before in cinema. And I'm really excited to see that. Uh, Honestly, I'm interested to see how Robert Pattinson fills the role as Batman. He looks cool. The
Yeah.
suit's awesome
The
in the
suit is
trailer.
awesome,
The
man.
Batmobile looks cool.
Yeah.
Uh, which I mean, you know, it's half the battle with Batman films sometimes. But of course, you need an actor who can carry it. Personally, I was not all. A lot of people didn't like Ben Affleck as Batman. I didn't mind him. I liked him. I liked him as Bruce Wayne too.
Okay.
So let me know, because I'm actually unsure. Is this a continuation of the Ben Affleck Batman, or is this a new? Once again, we're restarting with a new Bruce Wayne.
This is an entirely new standalone Batman trilogy. It's been announced. Matt Reeves. For you guys who don't know, I keep bringing up this guy's name. I have a handful of favorite directors. I'd say in my top 5 favorite directors are guys like Chris Nolan. Mike Flanagan is in there. You know, Martin Scorsese. I love a lot of Martin Scorsese films. Quentin Tarantino, and alongside those guys, I have to tip my hat. Matt Reeves has dude, don't shake your head at me like this, dude. This is gonna be on YouTube. Don't you dare, boy.
I'm literally I'm shaking my head because you had to wait till number 4.
He's my number 4. He's my number 4.
The greatest director of all time.
He's my number 4. I have guys that are better than him, I think.
I thought you were going to leave him out, and I was ready to turn my computer off and walk out of this room.
He's number 4. But
you are nuts. But go ahead. I digress.
We'll have to have
for another time.
Yeah, we could dedicate a separate episode to that, let alone. But you know, Matt Reeves is definitely in my top 5 directors as it is, and he's directed
Planet of the Apes, correct? The new Planet of the Apes trilogy.
Well, he didn't direct Rise, which is the first one with James Franco in it. Okay. That was not him, but he did direct numbers 2 and 3. And then before that, he directed the original Cloverfield film. And a lot of people were a big fan of that film. I know. I personally have never seen it from start to finish. I've seen bits and pieces. But
I was not a fan.
You were not a fan. Okay.
I did see the original Cloverfield and was not a fan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to check it out just to see what it is. But I've heard different things, mixed reactions from it. But what I do know is Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War of the Planet of the Apes are 2 of the best sci-fi, action, thrilling, suspense, drama. It's just 2 of the best movies I've ever seen. And I'm just really excited to see what Matt Reeves can do here. And I'm a big fan of Robert Pattinson. But here's why I think that this delay, a full year, almost, a full year, April 1st, 2022, is a long time away. Here's why it's a good thing. I had read a few articles where they said they wanted to shoot more of this film in sets because, obviously they can't go on location due to COVID, which totally makes sense. So for me, this delay just makes a lot more sense. So we can actually get those on location shots, on location parts of this movie instead of it just being predominantly in sets. If you think back, Ryan, to when we talked about the Dark Knight trilogy on one of our recent top of the list episodes, a few months back, what for me at least makes those movies not just good Batman movies, but good movies in general. They're not just good movies because Batman's in them, right? They're not just good movies because it has to do with he drives the Batmobile and beats up bad guys. It's because there's these amazing filmmaking moments throughout the films. Like, what comes to mind for me, the scene in the interrogation room between him and the Joker. That isn't just Batman and the Joker confronting each other. It's this intense confrontation of good and evil that you can't see anywhere else on screen, along with a lot of great filmmaking moments too, like a lot of the IMAX filmmaking that Christopher Nolan does in those films. And a lot of it is on location. Like, one of the best shots is when we first see in The Dark Knight him put on the, I guess you could say, redesigned batsuit where he can move his neck now. He's ready to go get the guy out of, I think it's Japan, right? He's trying to get that guy and bring him back to Gotham City.
Yeah.
Or it might be China. I'm not sure.
I think it may have been Hong Kong.
Oh, Hong Kong.
Either way, once again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, side note there. But yeah, I agree though. I think Christopher Nolan did a magnificent job, and we saw his evolution in that film. Like I said, I was not a fan.
A lot of it was without CGI. A lot of it was without it was a lot of on location stuff. That's my point. Is I want them to use more on location than on set stuff like they were originally planning, and it's going to take more than a year to do that.
Of course, yeah, and no, I see where you're coming from, definitely, and
yeah,
I think with certain films still, planning to go. I mean, let's be honest. We're here in California. California is still one of the, if not, it is the number one state for cases of COVID-19. And I don't know if that's true per capita. I think there are some
Mhm.
states that are getting worse now. California seems to be trending downward, which is positive.
Yeah.
But, there are other places in the country where theaters are opening up. In fact, our local movie theater just announced today that they would be reopening this week at a 25% capacity for their shows. So with that being said, I think there are a lot of great films that will be coming out in
Yeah.
theaters in the upcoming, from this point till this point, 2021. And I think from your point of view there that you're making, they'll need to make this Batman movie great,
Yeah.
fantastic, by our scale, an 8.5 out of 10 or above for it to compete with all the great cinema that we have coming to theaters in the next 365 days. So
Yeah.
hearing you say that, I think it makes me look that much more forward to Batman. Pushing it back a year, pushing it back 3 years, we're going to be excited for this film. We're going to go see this film when it comes out.
Yeah. I mean,
You're a
from
huge
what it,
Batman fan. I know, Dom. Yeah. I'm a
for,
huge superhero movie
oh
fan. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure our fans know that from the MCU series, let alone, I mean, what would we take, like 4 episodes to do that?
Or yeah.
Yeah, 4 episodes, man. I mean, we love superhero films. And, from what it looks like, Matt Reeves is nailing the tone of this movie. Ryan, I guess the final thought on the Batman is I just want to talk about that trailer, man, one more time. What did you feel about there's these little subtle differences. I love the dark tone. I love the song choice at the beginning. I think it's is it Nirvana that's playing at the beginning of the trailer?
I haven't watched the trailer since it came out, but
Okay.
it sounds about right.
And
Yeah.
how about that awesome, like, for me, showstopper, right? Whereas like everyone draw drops when he's just like beating the crap out of the guy, and then he knocks him on the floor, and he's like, who the hell are you? I'm vengeance. The awesome Batman voice.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Like,
Yeah.
I expected him to say, I'm Batman, but no, he says,
Of
I'm
course. That's what
vengeance.
everyone was expecting. Yeah.
That's what was so. I love it. I love that he said, I'm
Absolutely. No,
vengeance.
I couldn't agree more with you. Yeah. It's
That's
definitely
Batman.
going to, yeah, I mean, but it showed that this is going to be, there's so many different renditions of Batman, from Adam West to Michael Keaton to Christian Bale. So it's going to be a serious Batman. We've had, corny, campy Batmans and a lot of superhero movies, you think in recent history, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Shazam,
Thor Ragnarok.
there are these campy, witty lines. This is going to be another dark Batman movie, which, he is the Dark Knight. I think that it definitely fits well that we're not sort of selling out to that idea with Batman quite yet, like we are with some other superheroes.
Yeah, and from what it looks like, more of a detective story than there has previously been on the live-action screen, right? We see him interacting with Commissioner Gordon in the actual scene of a murder. That could be really, really cool, seeing him do some actual detective work. As people know, Batman, known as the world's greatest detective from shows they mentioned, like in one of our favorite renditions, the Justice League animated show. They would always reference Batman, the world's greatest detective. Even in a few cool Justice League movies, they've noticed Batman is one of those guys that knows how to defeat even his allies. He knows how to defeat them. I think that's part of Injustice, as we talked about in the video game episode,
absolutely.
Ryan.
Yeah, and I think that's what's great about Bruce Wayne in general. No matter who plays him, he's the smartest guy in the room. I like to draw comparisons to how the MCU created Robert Downey Jr.'s Tony Stark. But where we get Batman, what makes him special is, Tony Stark's sort of a, egotistical kind of ass almost. He has to show everyone he's the smartest guy in the room. We don't always see that from Batman. And it keeps, that's what keeps, his villains so on their toes, that, he's able to, beat the crap out of you, and he's able to catch on to your plot before you're able to. They don't expect him to be as smart as he is.
Right. And from what it looks like, this is looking like even more so than Christian Bale's. We saw Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne / Batman pushed to the extremes mentally, psychologically by the Joker in The Dark Knight. But it looks like in this movie, the Riddler's going to be doing a similar thing to Robert Pattinson playing Bruce Wayne. And it looks like maybe in this version of Batman, the Riddler actually gets to Batman more than any other villain has, because from a few of the shots of Bruce Wayne, like when he's in this funeral home or like a church, it could be a church, I think, and he's wearing the suit. He looks mentally unwell. I mean, and you see the eye black around his eyes in that final shot. He looks like he is just, mentally torn to bits. Just from these few shots, I could tell that this looks like it's going to be a strain on his mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see how Paul Dano plays the role, who will be playing the Riddler. Personally, I talk about it a lot whenever we talk about Batman. I'm a huge fan of the TV show Gotham. Corey Michael Smith, who plays the Riddler, or actually Edward Nygma as he becomes the Riddler, I think does an incredible job on screen. And from the limited time we saw Paul Dano on screen in the trailer, it seems like he'll do an awesome job as well. Because like I said, Corey Michael Smith was the first guy I saw play the Riddler since Jim Carrey.
Right.
And Jim Carrey plays it hokey.
Yeah. But some people like that.
Fine. That's how the Riddler, if I'm not mistaken, is written in the comics.
Correct.
So, Corey Michael Smith plays it darker, and it looks like Paul Dano will play it even another step, even more dark. And I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, me too. So I think we've kind of touched on our feelings for the Batman. Very excited to see that film. Let's touch on the other films that were delayed by Warner Brothers, and then kind of a surprise. I'm not sure if you've read this one yet, Ryan, or not, but at the end of the show, I'm going to drop a little of a bit of a news bomb on you and get your in-the-moment reactions. But let's move on to a couple of films that I know that maybe you're not interested in, Ryan. I am. I'm just going to pass over them really fast. The Matrix 4 and Dune being pushed back. The Matrix 4 is being pushed back to December 22nd, 2021. Wait,
hold on. If I'm not mistaken, I thought Matrix 4 was pushed forward.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's pushed forward 1 year from April 1st, 2022 to December 22nd, 2021. Thanks for catching me on that, Ryan, before I messed up.
Absolutely.
Thanks, buddy. So that one's moving up. I'm happy to see that. It looks like the Matrix is going to continue. I've only seen Matrix 1 and 2. Need to check out 3, although I've heard it's really terrible. But I have to watch it now if I'm going to watch the Matrix 4. So, I'm interested to see what's going on. Keanu Reeves is back, so I'm going to be there.
I love Ageless Wonder.
I love Keanu Reeves.
We're going to see him in Bill and Ted this year, and now he's,
Bill
what is it? What year is it?
John Wick, Cyberpunk 2077. He's had an amazing year, 2020. It's going to be amazing. So that's what I feel about the Matrix 4. Dune being pushed back a full year. It was supposed to release this December, and now it's going to move back to 2021. I don't know. I don't have the specific month on hand, but I'm a big fan of the director and his previous films. Blade Runner 2049, I think, is one of the most beautiful films ever created. Visually, if you're going to look at any movie visually, this is the greatest visual film I've ever seen. It's up there with some of the films like, Apocalypse Now, Godfather, on a visual level. Maybe not on a story level, but on a visual level, 100%. So that's why I feel about Dune. I'm really excited to see visually what this film is going to achieve. Even if the story so far, for me at least, seems like it could be a bit confusing.
Yeah. And for you, Dune set to release now October 1st, 2021.
Right. So a little bit more, quite a bit more of a wait for that one. I was very excited to see that one. So that's what I feel about that one. And then, Ryan, let's touch on the rest of the DCEU now. Namely, I think I want to touch on, first and foremost, Shazam 2, a film that both you and I have already seen. We've seen Shazam 1, and for the most part, I loved that film. I thought it did a great job of being not completely dark like Batman versus Superman, and doing more of an Aquaman take on something and having more action-adventure feel to it than a dark, visceral thing. What did you feel about Shazam, and how do you feel about the Shazam 2 delay?
Huge fan of Shazam. 9 out of 10 would have been my score for that film.
Okay.
Definitely on a level, we compare, we have to, the DCEU films and the MCU films. Shazam, I would put right up there with like a Thor Ragnarok. It has some dark subject matter. It has some awesome fight sequences, but it's got some great comedy as well. I think Zachary Levi is his name, right? Who plays adult Shazam.
Yes.
Yeah, did a brilliant job. I love the kid, both child actors. Well, I don't know if they're children, teen actors, I guess you could say, Mark Strong and Asher Angel, I believe, or Mark Strong's
Yes.
the villain. But
Mark Strong's the villain. Asher Angel is the Billy Batson.
yeah, Asher Angel, and then what's the name? The guy who's his brother too, Jack Dylan Grazer. Were both fantastic in this film.
Very funny.
His foster brother. Yeah, a great chemistry. And definitely the chemistry as well between Jack Dylan Grazer and Zachary Levi.
Yeah.
So, love that film. Very saddened to hear that it's being pushed back. But once again, like I said with the Batman film, push it back 1 year or push it back 5 years. I'm going to go see it when it comes out. I can wait.
Yeah.
I remember, before COVID was even a thought in our mind when they said, the year the releases for Infinity War and then later on Endgame. And I was like, I can't wait that long. But we were able to. It was worth the payoff, and I think these films will be as well. I'm trying to think other films that I read are being pushed back.
Yeah.
Also, the Black Adam film starring Dwayne Johnson.
That's exactly where I wanted to go from here because I had a lead-in question for you here, Brian.
Oh, yeah. No, you go ahead then. Okay, bring it back. All right.
Okay, so, if we look at the exact dates here, I'm trying to hypothesize so we can kind of predict because so far we haven't seen very little to any cohesion between these DCEU movies. They all feel like they take place in their own thing, even though we know they're connected because Superman shows up in the Shazam film, Aquaman talks about what happens in Justice League, but it doesn't feel as cohesive as the MCU. So if you look at the years where we have Shazam 2 moving to, now it's in 2023, and now Black Adam, which was originally going to come out before Shazam 2, is now undated. So it may actually come after, which basically is telling me Black Adam is the bad guy for Shazam 2.
Yes.
So is this going to be a big mix-up now? Was one made to be before the other, and now it's going to be after? I think that we have a big snafu on our hands if that is the case. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen here. Maybe Black Adam is just its own standalone, isolated story, akin to what I would say the Joker feels like its own, is separate from everything else. You know what I mean? I don't know. What do you think on that, Ryan? How are they going to do the order of these two films?
Yeah, so like you said, Black Adam still it's still TBA. I'll be very honest with you. I'm not too familiar with Black Adam, his character. Like I said, I'm more excited about this film because of Dwayne Johnson.
Me too.
I think no matter what he's in, he is a fantastic actor.
He's so great, yeah.
Brilliant on screen in serious roles and funny roles. So really excited to see what he brings to it. But no, I could see Black Adam, bringing as a unifying force that brings sort of the Justice League back together.
Okay.
Is sort of what I'm hoping for,
He's on that level of power from the comics, just so you know. He is that level of powerful.
Yeah, I mean, all I know Black Adam from is he has a role in Injustice Gods Among Us, which plug for our video game episode that just came out. I discussed a little bit about that episode. And he's an ultra powerful villain. So I definitely could see, Black Adam being a prequel to a second Justice League film.
And get this, Ryan, get this. How about in the Black Adam film, how much would you freak out if we got to see Black Adam versus Shazam and Superman teaming up? How awesome would that be?
That would be so amazing.
I
love what Henry Cavill's done with the Superman role. I think he's great. I think personally one of my favorite movies in this universe, and I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying this, but I am a huge fan of Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Okay.
Or Superman versus Batman. I don't know which order it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
But I love that film. I really hated Justice League.
Me too.
But, to me, Superman versus Batman: Dawn of Justice was almost to the original Avengers level for this
wow.
series.
Okay.
I just love this film. I loved, and I really hope, I don't think we will, but I love Jesse Eisenberg's role as Lex Luthor, and I hope maybe we'll get to see him reprise the role.
And that's kind of the other prediction that people are making. So there's that idea that maybe it's also the Black Adam movie is kind of, do you remember at the end credit scene of the original Justice League, or the Justice League film, the one that just came out in 2017, the end credit scene shows, I know it's Slade Wilson, better known as Deathstroke, showing up and talking to Lex Luthor, right? and that's kind of the end credit scene, and that's maybe hinting at a little bit of the, maybe a super anti, injustice league, maybe something like
Oh
that
yeah.
forming. Perhaps that's where they could shoehorn this in the Black Adam film, where Black Adam has been known to have been part of teams like that oppose the Justice League. In other words, another possibility that this
Yeah,
film could
I'd
take.
love to see that. I love the approach that the DCEU is taking here. I mean, like, so I'm looking at the films now. We've got Wonder Woman, which, I mean, still set for a Christmas Day release this year. We'll
Yeah.
see.
We'll see about that. Yeah.
Followed by the Suicide Squad, which I'm
James
curious
Gunn.
to.
James Gunn,
Yeah,
man.
it is James Gunn. It is once again Margot Robbie, who I really, could take or leave in the original Suicide Squad film, but loved her in Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey was such a good DC movie. I
Yeah,
think it's very
so
underrated.
excited to see the revamp, the Flash, which is November 2022 now, and then Aquaman is going to come out a month later, December 2022. Aquaman 2.
Yeah.
And then we have Shazam, which is June 2023.
And how
then
about
Black
the
Adam,
Flash?
TBA. Yeah, the Flash is an interesting concept. He's
I'm
a
a
guy
huge Flash
who,
fan.
yeah, my girlfriend Caitlin is as well. She's big into the what is it, CW series, The Flash. So she's a little skeptical about this new DCEU, The Flash, because it's a little different than what we see in the.
Have you heard any of the rumors about what the plot is for this movie?
I have not. No.
Okay, so this might bring you into the levels of hype that I'm in for this movie, because so far it's number one for you, Ryan, Ben Affleck returning as Batman for his final appearance as Batman. Okay, so that's number one on amazing. Not only that, but he's taking the screen with Michael Keaton playing as Batman as well. And it's going to be the Flash jumping through the multiverse and discovering all of these different alternate versions of characters, even considering that maybe Joaquin Phoenix might show up as the Joker, or Robert Pattinson, maybe one of the older guys that played Superman is going to be in this. There's so many possibilities that are going through. And by the end of the film, the director has been quoted as saying that after The Flash, you're going to see that all the DC movies after The Flash are going to be different because of the events of that film.
That's exciting to hear.
Okay.
I'll call it back to why I didn't like The Flash, at least in the Justice League film. I felt like it was almost too similar, the relationship between Bruce Wayne and the Flash. Barry Allen, is that right?
Yes.
Was very, very taken a page out of Tony Stark and Peter Parker in the MCU. And I felt just watching this, like, this is the same thing. And hearing that they're going to be together, Ben Affleck's Bruce Wayne and Barry Allen in this film, I'm sort of feeling the same way. But hearing that, I mean, I'm gonna pay my $12.50. I'm gonna go see this. It sounds exciting. Sounds like a great movie.
We love the multiverse hopping, I think, is the main thing that I'm excited for.
Huge. And especially that we're tying in, yes, we'll get to see, hopefully, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, because I think that's the major question right now. And that's the problem with the DCEU, is what is part of this timeline? What isn't?
Yes.
Who is Batman? Is it Robert Pattinson? Is it Ben Affleck? Are they the same person?
Yeah.
Like you just told me, they're different people, but they're part of the same universe. Like,
they always do this thing where it's like, there's Robert Pattinson is on Earth 46 and Batfleck is on Earth 73. Like they always do stuff like that. So I'm hoping that the Flash movie can just like consolidate all of what our questions are on, who's playing who and in what universe is what. So hopefully that's our outlook for that. And then right here at our last couple minutes here in our episode, Ryan, hitting the 30-minute mark in about 3 minutes. I'm going to throw some news at you. I'm not sure if you read this earlier, but Jurassic World 3, Jurassic World, I think it's Dominion is what it's called.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Being delayed over a year away from now, Ryan. Let me pull it up, the date itself. Let's see here. It was moved from June 11th, 2021, a full year back to June 10th, 2022. What does this tell you, Ryan? What does this tell you? I mean, based on what we've seen in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, for me, this is a nail in the coffin. I don't know. I mean, you see, I don't know if you looked at the poster they revealed, Ryan, but Sam Neill is back.
Yep. Well, all three are. I
Yeah,
mean,
all
of
three
course, we've
are.
seen Jeff Goldblum and Laura Dern as well, reprising their roles as Ian Malcolm and Ellie Sattler as well.
Yeah, yeah, and of course, the returners, Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard. It looked like a great cast, but I mean, can the story itself carry on from what we've seen in the past? Obviously, you guys know my answer is no. The lowest grade I've ever given was Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Ryan, what are your
Um,
thoughts?
I'm invested.
You're invested,
So
okay?
my answer is no.
Uh-huh.
These films since Jurassic, The Lost World, have gone downhill. I mean, we had, to me, a little bit of a spike again between Jurassic Park 3, which was terrible, terrible. I think that was
Yeah.
probably the lowest score I have ever given.
Uh-huh.
And Jurassic World, the first one with Chris Pratt.
A slight improvement over that film,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. But then we went right back downhill again to more, let's call it what, Velociraptor crap. In
Let's not forget that
Jurassic World:
fateful
Fallen
line,
Kingdom.
Ryan. I had to let them go. What was it? It was because they're
Yeah,
alive like me.
like me.
Oh
Yes.
God, the worst movie. I
Man.
hate that movie.
Yeah, but
Outlook's not good for me, man.
I think we talked about this at the culmination of our Jurassic Park / World episode. I think they could go, now that we've seen dinosaurs are amongst humans. We saw it at the end of Jurassic World Part 2, intertwined with that great court speech given by, or Senate hearing given by Jeff Goldblum as Dr. Ian Malcolm. Life finds a way. I think they could go in a cool Planet of the Apes-esque direction. If we talked about this dystopian society, dinosaurs have taken over, and humans sort of live in fear. The whole world, quite literally, is turned into Jurassic Park. It's a Jurassic World.
Yeah.
I think if we see that could be well executed. But right now, I'm not expecting much. But like I said, I'm invested in the series, and I'm gonna go see it.
I'm definitely gonna see it, man. I'm definitely gonna see it. At the very least, it's a feast for the eyes. They don't spare a single dime on the special effects. Always look fantastic,
And that's that's always with Amblin Entertainment and Steven Spielberg. That's what we've come to expect.
Yeah. So I feel like we've said all we need to do. This was kind of our news episode, just talking about the recent delays in the movie world. Look forward to a few more episodes coming your guys' way. We had a recent Taco Bell episode coming out. We just recorded this on the same day. That'll be on YouTube. Go ahead and check that one out. Like, comment, and subscribe on that video and this one as well. And what do we have coming for us in the future, Ryan, in the month of October?
Yeah, so I think with, of course, spooky season coming up, we're going to have some horror movies to talk about, some Halloween-themed movies as well. Of course, I think we're going to do what many would consider the greatest horror film of all time. We're going to do a review of The Shining. I've actually never seen The Shining.
Okay.
So that'll be a first for me, and we'll probably drop that right around Halloween time. I know there were a few other Halloween movies we were discussing, or maybe just even a favorite horror or slasher films from both of us. So a lot of stuff sticking with the October Halloween theme, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, I'm thinking, maybe just sports-wise, we may do, as the MLB playoffs wind their way in, could do a World Series prediction once we have our matchup set. Could do some more food episodes coming up. Stay tuned. We'll keep a nice flow of content out there for you, the viewers at home. Dom, you want to take us out?
Yeah, for sure. And I also wanted to mention one more thing. As it is, since this Batman, we talked a lot, or since this episode, we talked a lot about the Batman. I think that it's only we do it justice and we go when we watch the other films by Matt Reeves and do a review of those. So I'm not sure if we're going to go get around to Cloverfield. I know you said you already saw it. Maybe I'll watch it and we could talk about that. Or what I really want to do is, you haven't seen some of those, that new trilogy of Planet of the Apes films. And I think we should also do a review on those.
That's correct. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the original Planet of the Apes films, 1 through 5 back in the 80s. I've seen the first Planet of the Apes, which was not Rise of the Planet of the Apes with James Franco, which I've loved. Never got around to seeing Dawn or War, but on your recommendation, I think it'd be great to do, a trilogy episode of those three films, and maybe even give a little throwback, talk about some of the original Planet of the Apes films as well.
Yeah, so we got that in our sightlines as well. With that said, don't forget we're on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Give us a 5-star review on those podcast services. Like, comment on our videos here. Let us know what else you guys want us to do. We got a lot of suggestions recently, so we're just going to keep piling on the videos. With that said, you can follow me at Dom Gonzalez 48. That's Gonzalez with the S. That's on Instagram and Twitter. And my co-host RB, you can find him on Instagram at RB_the_SID. Message either one of us if you want to give us some recommendations on future episodes. With that said, Ryan, that'll be the end of the episode. And
I've got one more thing.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Believe it or not, I am now on Twitter as well. So you can definitely give me a Twitter follow as well. Mostly sports stuff, but also at Twitter at RB with the call, all one word. Give me a follow on Twitter too, guys.
All right, we'll check it out. Check RB out on Twitter, and we'll see you guys next week.
Have a great week.